Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be taking you through how I got a summer internship working at Goldman Sachs and how you can do the same for yourself. In the video, I'll be breaking it down into some advice into your university life. So I go through the 5 things that you should be doing at university to really improve your chance of getting in. And then in the second half of the video, I also talk about the application process itself and really tell you how you can nail this process. Just for some background information, I did an internship at Goldman Sachs and subsequently I was also an analyst there in the finance division. The application process is really the same when it comes to applying for an internship, no matter what division you work in. So, no matter what division you want to apply to, I really hope that this video helps you get there. So let's get straight into the first section, which is all about your university life. Okay, so even though at university you actually apply for internships in your penultimate year, your Goldman Sachs journey should actually begin in your first year of university. So I went to Loughborough University and I did economics there, and you can do a few things in your first year of university to increase your chance of getting that internship. So the first thing that you really want to be doing is researching exactly which division you want to apply for by reading through the role descriptions on the Goldman Sachs website. So basically, once you actually understand exactly which role you want to apply for, you can then spend the time at university to really tailor your experiences and your CV and your cover letter and your overall application form to this job description, and this increases your chance of getting that job in the end. In your first year, you really just need to have a rough idea of exactly which division you want to work in. For example, if you're really interested in accounting standards and financial statements, then maybe the finance division is the right division for you, like it was for me. However, if you're really interested in IPOs and M&As and you really like deals, then maybe the IBD division is the right one for you. Or, if you really want to help high net worth individuals really grow their wealth, then maybe wealth management is the right division for you. So all you need to do is really read the job descriptions, see what interests you the most, and then take it from there. The second thing that you can do at university is pick up some paid experience. So this would be summer internships or even part-time jobs. Summer internships are a really, really amazing way to stand out, and that's how I got my internship, or one of the main factors, because I spent an entire interview talking about how I'd done a summer internship at the end of my first year of university. This was really advantageous for me compared to other applicants, because a summer internship that goes on for 10 weeks really gave me relevant financial services exposure. It gave me that sort of office and corporate experience that Goldman Sachs would have wanted. And working full-time really showed that I was motivated and I was really proactive, and I had that desire to work in financial services because I gave up that summer to get that internship. On the other hand, part-time jobs are also an amazing way to actually really show off some skills that you never thought that you might have actually had. So for example, a part-time job really teaches you how to manage your time between studies and working. It teaches you how to communicate with different customers, different people. It teaches you discipline, making sure that you manage your time in the right way, making sure you're achieving so many different targets, and making sure that you achieve everything that's on your plate. And so as a result, it makes you really well-rounded. So the second thing you can do at university after researching your role is actually picking up some paid experiences like summer internships and part-time jobs. The third thing that you can really do at university to boost your chances is pick up some voluntary roles. So this could mean being part of a sports club, being part of some societies, or even doing some charity work, provided that you have the time to do some of these voluntary activities alongside, managing your studies. For example, when I talk about being part of a society, I don't just mean being a passive member, but I mean being an active member and being, a part of the committee. So whether you're just doing a small role for the committee, for example, you could be a treasurer, you could be like the social rep, whatever that may be, or you might be doing a slightly more, larger role like being the president of the society. All roles are really good, and this is a great way to boost your CV because, being part of societies and, different sort of charitable organizations, again, gives you a range of different skills that, Goldman Sachs and many other companies really value. So for example, being part of a society helps you gain team working skills, it helps you gain leadership skills, again, it helps you gain discipline and so on. And, it makes you a really well-rounded person and helps you develop those soft skills that you might not develop, during your core modules at university. So this is a really great thing. Another thing that this really, really helps with is the fact that when you're working at Goldman Sachs or any other organization for that matter, people want to hire other people that they feel they can spend, 8 to 10 hours a day with, working Monday to Friday. So picking up these voluntary roles really makes you an interesting person, and therefore it makes you stand out and it makes you more likely to be hired because, people want to spend time with you because they genuinely find you an interesting person. The fourth thing that you want to be doing at university is attending as many careers fairs as you can possibly attend. So sometimes at my university, there were a lot of internal fairs. So sometimes we had the autumn careers fairs, we had the summer careers fairs, and so on. Sometimes there's also external careers fairs that you can sign up to yourself as a student. So for example, Bright Network is an example where, the organization hold a range of careers fairs in different cities, and students are just free and eligible to sign up to them. So you should really attend as many careers fairs as you can. These are beneficial for 4 different reasons, in my opinion. Firstly, if your company that you want to work for is at the careers fair, they'll have some staff members there. And from those staff members, you can actually learn about the company and the application process. So some of this information is available online, but if you meet them, they might be able to give you some tips and tricks. The second thing that you can do is, meet people from the company, get a feel of, what sort of people the organization hires. And if you really enjoy talking to those people, if you could really feel like you can establish a connection with them, and as a result, you get a feel of, the sort of staff the organization hires. The third thing is, once you actually meet someone, you can actually name drop them in your cover letter, which we'll talk about later. And that instantly shows the organization that you've really put the effort in and gone to these careers fairs, spoken to a lot of people, and then decided that this is the right organization for you, which is really impressive from their point of view. And then finally, the fourth tip, which is a bit cheeky, is the fact that you can actually take your CV to them if you've already made it, and they'll be able to give it a quick review if they have time. So they often have a lot of people, bringing their CVs to them, and they can't obviously review everybody's. But maybe if it's a quiet time and they're in a good mood, maybe they'll give it a quick review, and they might be able to give you some quick tips and tricks again on how you can make it better. And again, this will massively boost your chance of getting a place in that organization. The fifth and final thing that you can do at university to boost your chance is actually apply for a spring week in your chosen division. So if you don't know what a spring week is basically where you go and spend a week or two, or sometimes it's even a few days during your Easter vacation at the company, and you basically just get to learn about the culture and the sort of work they do. And if you're successful in that spring week and they like their assessment of you, they'll basically give you a internship opportunity in the following summer, which means that you don't have to apply for summer internships elsewhere because you already have one secured. This is a win-win situation because, if you win and, you learn about the company and, they really like you, you have that internship offer secured, then you don't have to waste time applying for internships in the following year in your second year of university. Again, if you lose, you learn about the process, you learn about, what the sort of people they're looking for, and then you can try again next year. So again, it's a win-win situation. You have nothing to lose. The spring week is also the easiest chance of getting in. So if you fail here, then you know that you need to improve your CV and really tailor your experiences to the likes of the organization. But overall, again, as I said, it's a win-win situation. Just make sure you apply to that spring week, and then you should learn so much through that process. Okay, so now that you've done everything at university that you can to boost your chance of getting an internship, we now move on to the application process and how you can best tailor your application process to secure that job. I'll keep this fairly high level and then make separate videos about each section of the application process later down the line because it's just so hard to fit all of the information in one video. So let's begin with the CV. So for example, when you make your CV, you want to make sure that when you apply for an investment bank, no matter what role you apply for, whether it's front office, middle office, or back office, you want to make sure that your CV is only one page. The reason behind this is that recruiters, they only have about 8 to 10 seconds to review your CV before they're likely to move on to the next one. Each recruiter probably reviews, thousands of different CVs each application season, and therefore they don't really have that much time to spend, looking at just one CV. The other reason behind keeping it one page and really concise is the fact that when you're a student at university, you don't actually have that many experiences to put on that CV, and therefore if you have a 2 or 3 page CV, it's very likely that you're going to have some experiences on there that are basically just fillers and that are not adding that much value. The second thing that you can do for your CV is make sure that you give yourself really concise headings. So the first heading should be education. You want to keep this really high level. So for example, when it comes to listing your university, you just want to put your university name, your university course, and the grade that you got in the previous year. If you don't have a grade just yet and you're in your first year, just put your predicted grade, for example. Don't go listing every single module because this is just too much information and you could utilize the space on your one-page CV better elsewhere. The second thing that you want to do is talk about your paid experiences. So that should be your next heading, like paid experiences. In this part, you want to talk about things like your summer internships, any insight days that you did that you might have got paid for, any part-time jobs that you hold, things like that. The third sort of heading should be voluntary experiences. So this would be things like the societies that you volunteer in, maybe a charity that you've worked for and so on that you didn't get paid for, but you developed a lot of different skills. The fourth thing that should be on there is like your achievements. So for example, this would be things like Duke of Edinburgh Awards, the fact that you might have done NCS, many years ago, the fact that you might play for some sports teams, you might have done some online courses that are not part of your degree. For example, you might know how to code, you might have knowledge of Excel VBA, which is, always valuable. You might know how to use Microsoft Power BI, all of these different tools that companies use. And also you might know a lot of different languages. So you might have learned French, Spanish, Italian, whatever, language that you're proficient in, put that down and that would make part of your achievements. After you've made your CV and you're really happy with it, it's one page, it's concise, the headings are there, everything that you need to put in there that's adding value is in there, You want to refer back to the job description that you want to apply for and make sure you're covering the skills that the organization needs you to have. So for example, for finance, you should be comfortable working with numbers and you should be an analytical thinker. You should also have strong communication and interpersonal skills. That's what the job description advertises, and therefore you want to put these skills on your CV and show that the experiences that you had in the past helped you gain these skills that the organization is looking for. So please do mention those skills in your CV, because the firm will definitely have a scan for where you've developed those skills. So this is really, really important. The next part of the application process is all about your cover letter. So for Goldman Sachs, you only actually need to submit a 300-word cover letter, which is a lot shorter than a standard cover letter, which is about a whole page long. In the cover letter, you need to talk about 3 different paragraphs. So these 3 different paragraphs would talk about why the company, so why you've applied to the company, why the role, so why have you chosen this specific role, and why you, so why should they hire you. So when it comes to answering the question, why the company, you want to do a lot of research to answer this question. So for example, are there any examples in the news or the wider reading that you've done which you found really interesting that have made you apply to this company? Did you apply because of the prestigious nature of the bank and because of how many awards it's won in the past? Have you applied because you think it's the best place for your career development and you can add the most value here by working alongside like-minded individuals? Or are you perhaps interested in climate change and you were really passionate about this and you read some of the ESG reports and some of the ESG things that Goldman Sachs were involved in, and that kind of interested you in applying for the company? When it comes to answering the second question on why the specific role, there are so many different approaches to answering this question. So for example, the first approach could be you read the skills in the job description and talk about how they align to skills of your own and how you've developed these skills from your past experiences, and so you think it's a good match for you. The second thing you could do is talk about, you can name drop somebody and be like, I met this person at a careers fair, whether that be internal or an external one, and they really inspired you to apply to this role. They really interested you in that role, and that's the reason why you applied. One of the things that I did as well was when I was applying to finance, I talked about how I read up on some of the accounting statements that were published by Goldman Sachs. So you can easily find the financial statements of Goldman Sachs on the website as they're public information. It's very hard to understand them because, when you're young, you don't have the sort of technical skills and accounting knowledge to understand them. But by mentioning them and talking about how they interested you in the role, it shows that at least you try to research them and gain that understanding, which not many applicants actually end up doing. So this is also a really good way. Again, if you're going to apply for IBD or something like that, you could talk about some of the deals that have happened and how you read up on them. And by mentioning them, it shows that you've really tried to do that wider research and reading, which will put you ahead of a lot of other candidates. Finally, when it comes to the third section, which is all about why you want to talk about the skills that you bring to the table that make you a better applicant than all of the other applicants out there. What have you done that others haven't? So for example, in my case, I'd done a 10-week wealth management internship right before I applied, where I learned about pension schemes for high net worth individuals, and it gave me some really valuable financial services experience that set me aside to other applicants because, in your first year of university, not many people have that 10-week work experience, whereas I did in my case. So you have to think about what really sets you apart and try and summarize that and put that in the cover letter in the third paragraph. The next stage of the application process, once you've submitted your CV and your cover letter, is your high view interview. So this is a video interview where there will be some recorded questions that are played for you to answer. You get a little bit of prep time, so you might have 30 or 60 seconds to prepare, and then you have about 2 minutes to give your answer. So here you'll be asked some competency questions and some technical questions. So some questions might be things like, why you've applied to Goldman Sachs, why you've applied to the role, some interesting articles that you might have read about the company, give us an example of where you worked in the team, or, demonstrate an example of where you showed leadership skills or communication skills and so on. So it's really a mixed bag. You can get, a lot of different questions, but these are the sort of questions that regularly come up, and therefore you should, really revise and prepare for these specific questions and be ready for some more. So that's how you can, really prepare and nail your high view interview. Okay, so now that you've made it past the first stage of the application process, which is all about your CV and cover letter submission, and then you made it past the second stage of the application process, which is all about your high view video interview, you get to the final stage, which is the final round of interviews before which you get made the offer. So in this final interview, you could have a range of different interviews, so we can go through each one in a little bit of depth. So for example, firstly, we have the technical interview. In this technical interview, you'll be asked things like why you applied to finance or your motivation to apply to your division of choice. You might get asked things like what accounting ratios are if you apply to the finance division. You should know some of the benefits of them, the different types, etc. You might get asked what the different financial statements do. So for example, what is a cash flow forecast? what is a balance sheet, what is an income statement, and so on. You might get asked some of the challenges within the financial services sector, or where you see the future of the industry. For example, do you see a lot of automation? Do you see a lot of technological factors that impact the work that the division does? Things like that. So it's really important to research these answers. It's really important to know them and make sure you look confident when you present these answers. The second type of interview is the competency interview, in which you should really perform the best. This is the easiest type of interview because you can really prepare for these answers. So for example, you might get asked, can you give us an example of when you worked in a team? Can you give us an example of some problem solving skills, communication skills, leadership skills, things like that. So you can really prepare for these answers, and then when you get asked them questions, you really just have to present them really confidently, and you just need to make sure that you follow that STAR approach that you get taught. And after that, you can really nail this interview. After this, you might have the cultural fit interview. So this is, a really different type of interview where, it's just a chat with the interviewer. It's very informal. What they're trying to do as part of this interview is they're really just trying to assess how you would fit into their culture. Are you an easygoing and an interesting person? Can somebody spend 8 to 12 hours with you every single day and have a really nice day? Are you that friendly person that people want to sit next to, that people want to work in a team with, and so on? So it's quite informal. It's just a chat, and therefore again you should just be really confident, really just showcase all of the different skills that you have and how well-rounded you are, and what makes you an interesting person. And this would really help you in this type of interview. Overall, that brings us to the end of the video. As you can see, getting a job at Goldman Sachs or any investment bank, or any company for that matter, really starts in your first year of university, where you really develop some of the skills and the experiences that will make your application stand out. In the process of trying to make your application stand out, you'll also gain a bunch of useful skills and experiences you'll be using to succeed if you actually end up getting the job. All the best for the future applications that you make. I'll be making lots more videos around this. If you found this video helpful, or useful in any way, please hit that like button for me. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.